Hello friends and fellow bibliophiles, welcome back to Kat's Novel Adventures. Today I'm doing a book tag. I know it's been quite a while since I have done one, so I'm finally getting around to doing the How Do We Rate Our Books book tag, and I'm excited to share with you how I rate my books. This book tag was originally created by Emily at Novell Novels, and I was tagged by Jessica at Jess Book Girl TV, as well as by Farrah at Bookstalgic. These ladies are lovely and have some wonderful channels. If you have not checked them out, I recommend that you do. I don't think you'd be disappointed. There are 9 prompts for this book tag, and the first prompt is, how often do you DNF and what makes you DNF? Believe it or not, in this point in time, I have never DNF'd a book. Yes, you heard that correctly. I have never DNF'd a book. If anything, I have put a book to the side and picked it up later, and that's generally because something has come up and I'm just not in the right frame of mind to read the book. For example, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I picked this book up because it was a book club selection for September of 2021. My area had just been hit by Hurricane Ida. A tree had fallen on my roof. We had no electricity for about 2 weeks. This book I found was a little complicated with its world building, and I wasn't 100% invested in the main character. Now, I did get halfway through before I put it down, but I just wasn't in the right frame of mind to read it. Doesn't mean that I don't want to read it at a later date. And also too, I think I'm a little bit discerning about what books I do pick up. And I hate to say this, but if I purchased a book, I feel almost a sense of obligation to read it because I've spent the money on it. Maybe I wouldn't feel that way if I just borrowed a book from the library, or if I just picked one up, thrifting, and I didn't spend a whole lot on it. But as of right now, I have not DNF'd one. It doesn't mean that I won't in the future, but generally I will put a book to the side, and I really don't even do that all that often. Prompt number 2 is, do you rate books 1 star? Nope. I can't imagine reading a book all the way through and then give it a 1 star rating. I think I would DNF a book before I'd give a 1 star rating. The book would have to be really horrible, and then why would I be reading the book? So no 1 star books for me. Prompt number 3 is, what is a 2 star book to you? A 2 star book to me is a book that I really didn't care for. By the end of reading it, I just didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to enjoy it. It generally either has content in it that makes me feel uncomfortable. It has characters that I really don't enjoy reading about. It's just not my cup of tea. And also it could be that it's in a genre that I don't normally read, and so there's aspects or elements of that genre that I don't care for, and for some reason in that particular book that I picked up, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. But really and truly, I have only, I think, rated 1 2-star book since I've been on Goodreads, which is a good thing. And it happened to be a romance, and it was written back in the day. So we know how some of those romances can be, some of the things that men were allowed to get away with that I don't necessarily think they'd be able to get away with today. But I happened to pick it up for Garb August. I knew going in, I had low expectations for it. Thankfully, it was a really short book. And the reason I read it and kept up with it was because I did like the main character of the book, and I really wanted to see how this situation played out with her, even though she was, interacting with some really crummy characters. But I will say that it's good for me to occasionally read a book that doesn't always land really well. And in this case, it was a 2 star because I know better not to gravitate to those kind of books. Prompt number 4, is a 3-star book a good book for you? Sure. When I give a book 3 stars, it means that I enjoyed it, the majority of it. there may have been some component that fell flat for me. Maybe it didn't meet my expectations. Maybe there was a character in there that got on my nerves. Maybe it was just too long. However, I gave it the 3 stars because it was enjoyable enough, and I'm recommending it to people who may like it just as much as I did, or maybe even more. So I've been known to pick up a book that has been given 3 stars and enjoyed it, and sometimes even rated it higher than the original 3 stars it received. So the time that I spent with it, I enjoyed it. Doesn't necessarily mean I might reread it again, but it was fine, and I think they are good enough. Prompt number 5. What does 4 stars mean to you? Well, 4 stars for me means that it has a little more oomph than a 3-star read, but it's not as stellar as a 5-star read. I think that 4 stars has a lot of ingredients that I love in a good story. It has great characters, probably a lot of characters, because I tend to gravitate towards more character-driven stories than plot-driven ones. Also, it's probably in a very captivating place. There's a good conflict going on. There's some action. There's some mystery. Yeah, it really has all of these wonderful, wonderful ingredients. However, it is lacking that extra flavor it needs to be a 5-star. Prompt number 6. Do you ever do half-star ratings? Yes, but I don't do them very often, and partly that is because Goodreads doesn't have half stars for their ratings, and that is where I keep track of my ratings. I just find that you have to come to a point where you either have to rate down or you have to rate up. And so a lot of times I'm in a quandary, like, why don't I just give whatever the rating is and not fool with a half star? But there are some times that a book is not deserving of that whole star rating, and so then I will end up giving it a half star. Doesn't happen often though. Prompt number 7. Do you rate 5-star books often? What do 5-star books do to make them rate that high? Yes, I do tend to rate books 5 stars often, and I'm not really sure if I can articulate the reason why I do effectively, but I'm going to give it a try. A 5-star book has everything that I talked about that a 4-star book has, but it has something a little extra. It has something in the story that resonates with me in such a way that I have some kind of emotion attached to the book or the story or a character in the story. And it could be extreme happiness. It could be like I have so much joy when I think about that book. It could be that it was so action-packed and I love the way the characters handled situations that they were in. Maybe that they were in these really gnarly situations and they had to be clever to get out of them. Or perhaps it's such a heartbreaking story that I ended up sobbing, not just once or twice, but maybe throughout the whole entire book, but it's because I identify what the character is going through, or I'm experiencing similar grief in some way, and I'm finding comfort in the fact that I'm not alone, even though I'm sharing that moment with a fictional character. I don't know, it's wonderful storytelling, and the stories are well written, and you get lost in them, and you feel like no time is passing when you are engaged with a 5-star read. I just think it's a combination of a lot of things. It's entertainment, it's being engaged, it's having your heartstrings toyed with. It's just basically, I think the impact that book has on me emotionally is the reason why I'm giving it that 5 stars. Prompt number 8. Have your ratings of books changed over the years? Most definitely. When I first started keeping track of my books on Goodreads and giving ratings, that was back in 2012, I believe, I would give a star rating and maybe write a review. And if I did, it was probably a couple of words or so. It wasn't anything compared to what I do now. Really, the last few years, I have done much better with writing more substantial reviews. I'm reading a little more critically. And so I feel like I can better justify the ratings I give my books because my reviews are a little more thoughtful. Finally, prompt number 9, where do you record your ratings? I record mine on Goodreads, as I mentioned before. I like Goodreads. I only have one thing that I don't like, and that's the fact that they don't do half stars. Maybe one day they'll do that, but otherwise, Goodreads has been a good place for me to keep up with my books that I'm reading, books that I want to read, as well as my yearly goal that I want to reach every year. So yeah, I'm going to stick with Goodreads for a little bit. Well, friends, that's how I rate my books. Thanks so much, Jessica and Farrah, for tagging me in this book tag. I had an enjoyable time talking about how I rate my books. Before I go, I want to tag 3 of my friends that I'd love to hear your responses to this book tag. And that's Alex at Frank Fiction, Laura at Laura Reads, and Liz at Fairy Girl. Of course, you're not obligated to do the book tag, but it would be fun to hear your answers. And of course, anybody else who has not done this book tag, please consider doing it. It's very interesting to really reflect on why you give the ratings to your books and how you go about doing that, and your feelings about ratings of books in general. As always, thank you so very much for stopping by. I really appreciate you watching, and until our paths cross again, stay amazing and be adventurous.